already making some great progress. We've been working with lift stations and things of that nature, trying to save us money. And that's what it's all about, trying to make our operation run as efficient as possible. But one of the most critical parts, and I want to get into this before we talk about community and how y'all have been hopefully looking and engaging and doing some other things. Yeah, it's most valuable asset that we have is our employees. And
Absolutely.
now that our employees now are your employees, and I know a lot of people out there in the community, and I'll just back up a little bit, they had reservations about
Sure.
this endeavor. I heard things from, they're going to take over the whole water and wastewater, they're going to take over all of you. I said, no, that's not the case. They're only going to do the operation side of it. They're going to set y'all rates. No, that's not the case. Y'all not going to take over all our assets. That's not the case. The city of Douglas own all those assets. And one of the big questions was, how are they going to treat your employees? That was probably one of the biggest concerns.
Sure.
And I think we went through this thing in a thoughtful way. I think it took us several months to make this transition. We just didn't do it willy-nilly. So talk a little bit about the transition and how the kind of steps y'all take to help them get to being on board with ESG. And if Tony wants to start
Sure.
that.
Yeah, I think I have to hand it to y'all as a city. I mean, this whole process was a 2-year process of due diligence. Y'all really looked at this concept up, down, all around, front and back to make sure it was the best fit for Douglas. And once we decided to move forward down this path, it was real clear to us that, number one, we got to keep the employees whole. So how are we going to do that? And not only tell us how we're going to do that, but you got to prove that you have done it.
Right.
And so one of the things we did early on in the pre-transition is we brought employees in from Waycross and Tifton. And the reason we did that is because we have we have about a 10-year relationship with the city of Waycross, and Tifton is about going on 2 years. So what you had a mix of employees that had just made the transition, and then you had a mix of a group of employees that have been with the company, 7, 8, 9, 10 years that have made the transition. And so we brought those employees to Douglas, and we brought in your employees at the time, and we talked through about ESG like we're doing now, and we gave the employees a chance to really mingle and ask questions privately about the ESG experience. And so we thought that was a real positive thing to do. And one of the other things we did is prior to that, we invited city staff and several of your elected officials to visit the city of Tifton. And when they visited the city of Tifton, what we did, it was Dan Grizel and I, we kind of organized that meeting. And so we brought them in, and the first meeting they had was with the city manager, and we left the room. So they had a private one-on-one discussion with the city manager about the ESG experience. And the second thing we did is we brought in employees that had made the transition. And so they had a chance to meet privately to hear firsthand about the ESG experience, the cost savings, how we've kept the employees whole, how the transition went smoothly, and things like that. So those are the things we did up front to assure y'all that we're going to do what we say we're going to do.
Right. And obviously it went well. And let me say this. With any transition, you're always going to have some sense of reservation. And we've had a few employees that obviously they made a conscious decision that they may not want to make that transition, which is fine. They have that choice. And obviously we worked through all those. But at the end of the day, I think the first month, I haven't heard of any major issues. I've gotten good reports back from the transition. I think our employees, your now employees, see that there's hope, there's opportunity for them to be growing in that regard. With y'all 500 employees to our now about 194, obviously that's more latitude for them to grow and expand their horizon. So all that's been positive. I'm glad that that's happened in that regard. So good to hear. So,
and I think I mentioned this to you last week, but we've done this quite a few times, and I think this is probably one of the smoothest transitions that we've done. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the employees were motivated, they were excited, and as you mentioned, this is a definite career path for a lot of these folks. Before, their upward mobility was directly limited by the structure they're in, and now it's really unlimited. They've got opportunities here in Douglas, but also elsewhere. And I think an important fact about that is in the first month, we've done over 800 hours of training. And that's safety training, it's process training, it's administrative training, and it's training that these folks have never been exposed to before. So we've already started that career planning and that career growth for these employees, but we're very excited.
Well, and speaking of that, one of the challenges that I know as a city and other communities face this as well. Water and wastewater, as I've always said in my 22 years in local government, is not as probably glamorous of a career path as people would want to embark. You just don't get out of high school or get out of college and say, oh yeah, I want to go run a wastewater treatment plant. We don't get those type of people. You know, by circumstance, by whatever they decide that they want to get into that field. It is a very honorable field. There's need there. Without those two things working properly, cities can't go. I've always often said that water and wastewater are the arteries of your city. If those things are stopped up, nothing moves, nothing happens. So it is a very honorable field to be in, but trying to convince younger people to get into that endeavor is very difficult. I'll give you an example. Kevin, now who works for y'all as our project manager, Kevin Davis, as y'all project manager here, he's a biology major. And we actually, but when he used to work for us, we kind of got him on board by circumstance, but he didn't ever had a clue that he would want to work in this type of arena. But he loves it, has a passion for it, very savvy about his technical skills in regards to that. But that is such a crucial thing, trying to get younger people excited about this. So the way y'all are set up with ESG, y'all have the depth of multiple cities. There's a lot of upward mobility potential for employees there versus here, because it's pretty much you only have that department in regards to water and wastewater, and that's it. Unless they go to work to another city in that regard. So this gives them a lot more latitude and a lot of people that working in that same arena to help kind of be colleagues in the trenches, so to speak. So I'm glad that this has worked out, and I hope that our employees will continue to see the benefit of it, and hopefully it'll keep moving up
And I'll let Tony jump on that, but I just want to throw in one of the things that we do is try and get in with the communities that we're partnering with. We're very active in the STEM programs of science, technology, engineering, and math, and go to the local schools to explain how important water and wastewater is, but also what are the different careers for water and wastewater. And a lot of people don't know that, and I know Tony's very involved in that with us in terms of getting out with the local schools and working with the students and making sure that we do have a focus on science and math.
I'm going to tell you all this. We have an industry and business committee that is comprised of industries and the school system in regards to that. One of the big programs that we've been working on is STEM internships. So I'm glad that you throwed it out there, because I'm gonna be talking to y'all about maybe so we'll talk offline about maybe sponsoring an internship. We did one in engineering last year. The young lady worked, I think it was a young lady, did a great job for us. I think they helped with GIS last year. So talk to us a little about your community involvement activities y'all done in other communities, what y'all hope to do here.
Absolutely. The first 30 days, we like John had mentioned, we were focusing on project delivery, getting the boots on the ground, getting people trained up and ready to roll. The next 30 days, we're going to focus on a community engagement plan where I'll be talking to you, elected officials, people in the community, employees. We want to get the employees engaged. I've learned several of our employees are active in the community here. So the plan is to figure out the best plan for Douglas as it relates to setting up scholarships, internships, and supporting different local organizations in the community, whether they be nonprofit, churches, specialty interests as serving senior citizens or at-risk youth. But as it relates to working with the high schools, we intend to set up some sort of scholarship program for seniors, graduating seniors, and we hope to kick that off this year. Second thing is we're going to engage in discussions with some of your technical colleges here, like East Central and Wiregrass, and try to figure out a way, how, like you mentioned earlier, to get people interested in our field and show them what we do and show that you can make a good living as you progress through the field.
Right. And that's so critical, because one of the things that we struggle with is trying to get kids excited about the things that we do. there's nothing wrong. And here, let me back up on one of my little soapbox things here, my pet peeve problem. Everybody doesn't need to go to college.
That's right.
Right.
Everybody doesn't need to go. I know plumbers that do quite
Absolutely.
well. Yeah. I know some electricians that do quite well. I probably would throw my job away as a city manager to make the money they make as a plumber or electrician. But kids today don't always see that. And we as adults, we have pretty much programmed them to say, hey, everybody got to go to college. Everybody got to take that route. But not necessarily so. There's a lot of opportunity with certificate programs,
Sure.
Associate degree programs, all those types of opportunities there could lend them some very, very well deserving type of career. And the best thing I've learned in life is be happy with whatever career path you choose. Have peace of mind at the end of the day. It doesn't make any difference, how much money you make. If you can't get peace of mind, all that money opportunity is going to be wasted if you're miserable. As far as that. So I'm hoping that we can get some of these kids. I'm glad y'all are here because that's been hard trying to help kids be interested in water and wastewater and all those things that are affiliated with it. And we definitely appreciate y'all going to be a good corporate sponsor and partner here in our community because we need that. We have a few good, I won't say a few, but we have a lot of good partners here in our community. We wish we had more, but the corporate sometimes take their own positions. That's just life, how it is. But for the most part, we have a lot of good ones, and they're doing a great job. But we definitely need more. And I'm glad that y'all are instrumental in trying to help us out in that. Tell us a little bit about some of the other things that y'all done in some other cities to kind of give us a perspective of things that we could possibly look for. I know you got to do your assessment, but like in Perry or Waycross, what kind of examples of things y'all done to try to be community partners in some type of endeavor?
Oh, okay. In Waycross, for example, every year the elected officials in the community strongly supports Ware County High School, so we do a scholarship program.
Oh, wow.
Every year there where last year we did a little bit differently, but what we did is we awarded five $500 scholarships to 5 students. And then there was another student at, I want to say it was Okefenokee Technical College there in Waycross, that was going through a hard time and just kind of struggling, had a couple of jobs to make ends meet as well as attend school. And so we awarded a scholarship to this young lady, and it was a good moment. And so we recognize the high schools, but there's also other organizations in addition to technical colleges. A lot of times we find that that there might be community groups that do scholarships. So we support those groups as well. It's just not focused on the technical colleges or the high schools, things like that. We get involved in community cleanup programs. That's right. We support annual events like Waycross. They have I think it's the Swamp Fest, and then they have a music festival. So we support those events every year, not only with funds, but we have volunteers and employees that go to set up water lines. Because a lot of times you got to have electricity, water, and different other amenities to host those types of events. And we know that you guys do like you have a blues festival and
that's coming up in April.
Yeah, and a number of other annual events that we look forward to supporting as well.
And one of and Tony can probably give you a little bit more information on it, but Augusta, Georgia is one of our larger utility clients. And we've got a program there through the Natural Sciences Academy.
Yes.
Which was we actually oversee that facility now, and it's a great training environment for the children. They can come in, and it's a natural wetland that we use to treat the wastewater effluent from the plant. And so we use that as a great training tool. But I think that also carries over. One of the things that we'll do here, we do in all the places that we work, is put together a nice tour for high school students and middle school students to come to the wastewater plant and learn about it firsthand. Because when you walk through it and you understand the science behind wastewater treatment, it's a different. It's an eye-opening experience.
It is. So obviously, there's a lot of opportunity that y'all are going to embark on. You've just been here a month. So obviously, folks, give them a little time. And we're excited about them being here. I know they're excited about being here.
Absolutely.
It was shall we say, a long courtship, shall we say.
Yes, it definitely was.
You probably had to court us a little bit longer than most people, but we wanted to make sure that this was
it's a big
That's
decision.
yeah, that this is the right step for Douglas, and I know we definitely made the right decision, and we're seeing already some fruits of this decision come to pass, even in a short period of time, which we hope.